Well, let's discuss some of that and everything that's been happening here over the last 24 hours and how it's perceived in other European countries. Henry Newman is with me. He's from Open Europe, a think tank that calls for reform of the EU. Welcome.
Thank you.
Your thoughts, first of all, after a historic day yesterday, whatever one's opinion, it was a turning point, a remarkable moment. Your assessment of some of the comments that have come from Angela Merkel and others, their approach now.
Right, well, it certainly was a very poignant day yesterday, I think. But Angela Merkel's comments yesterday have been, I think, somewhat overinterpreted. It was sort of taken that she's ruled out this entire idea of a parallel negotiation whereby we would both deal with our divorce terms from the EU, but also deal with our future relationship at the same time. I don't think she actually said that. I think what she said is that we need to agree the principles first and the process of our exit, but not that we have to sort of finalise a deal or sign an enormous cheque before discussing any of the future.
Well, you mentioned the word check. I mean, that's interesting, but also how much of this is also that issue of other European leaders wanting to jolly well make sure that Britain pays whatever figure it believes we are responsible for paying. I know there's dispute about that, but that's an issue too.
It is, of course, an issue, and I think the Chancellor, but also the Prime Minister yesterday, have been clear that we will have to pay all the money that we've legitimately promised to pay already. But the question, of course, is what is that? And therein lies part of the crux. But I think we've also seen that Berlin, in particular, has been rather annoyed by the way that Brussels, the European Commission, has pushed this bill onto the table at the very beginning. In fact, Brussels was otherwise holding to a line that there could be no negotiation without notification. Of course, now we have notified, but only yesterday. But while they were holding to that line that we couldn't negotiate without notifying, they were also at the same time presenting this bill of £60 billion. And I think the problem that Berlin sees, and they're right to see this, is that if you push a bill on the table at the very beginning, insist that Theresa May has to sign that bill to write an enormous cheque, she'll have, I think she'll be in a very difficult position, and she'll be inclined to think, well, actually, I need to walk away from this. And then, of course, you get to all the other concomitant problems that would bring.
You mean a difficult position domestically?
Yes,
because
absolutely,
of how that will play back here?
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think she's right to, I mean, there was a lot of also concern yesterday that Theresa May had somehow unfairly linked trade and security. But again, I think this is a misreading. What Theresa May was actually saying, from my point of view, is that if we don't secure a deal with Europe, if we leave without actually unpicking and reforming our relationship in a clear way, that will have an effect on security in two ways. First of all, at the moment, a lot of the architecture that enables the security cooperation, for example, the swapping of information on passengers on planes, is done through the framework of European law. If we don't resolve how that's going to work in the future, that will have an effect on security. And also, if we leave without a deal, that will be a symbol of the fact that our relationship has broken down, and then it would be harder for us to work together on other areas, for example, on sanctions. So I think really saying that if we don't come to a deal, that will have an effect on security is a statement of the obvious.
Okay, interesting. I mean, we inevitably have been talking over the last 24 hours about some of the big European countries in particular. How are they reacting? What does France make of this? What does Germany make of this? I suppose they have had 9 months to think about this. Our referendum was last June. So is your sense that actually there has been rather more prepared and thought about, that they're ready for the beginning of these negotiations than perhaps we have been reflecting, because there has been a good few months to think about it.
They certainly have thought about it a lot. I think we've also seen that at the same time quite a few people in Europe, in the capitals and in Brussels, sort of thinking that Britain wasn't really going to go through with that. And of course they were, I think, exacerbated in that misapprehension by listening to some people here who thought that Article 50 would never be triggered, that the referendum result would be overturned. So although they have had 9 months, they've also been sort of labouring under the misconception that Britain would never really pull the trigger. But I think the broader problem we're going to have over the next few months is there'll be a lot of speculation and analysis and over-analysis of every tiny comment coming out. And in a difficult negotiation like this, where there are at least 28 different actors involved, it's going to be very hard to find the wood from the trees.
Interesting. Well, I think you and I will be talking plenty in that period to try to do exactly that. Thank you very much for now, Henry Newman from the Open Europe think tank. Thanks very much for your time.